I now call the Carroll County Board of Commissioners meeting December 7th, 2021 to order. If you'd each take a moment to silence your cell phones, please. I'm going to call on the County Clerk, Donna Lackey, to please call the roll.
Chairman Michelle Morgan.
Here.
Commissioner McClendon.
Here.
Commissioner Chance.
Here.
Commissioner Lee. Commissioner Fuller.
Here.
Commissioner Reynolds.
Here.
Commissioner Chambers.
Here.
Thank you.
I'm now going to call on Commissioner Chance to lead us with our invocation and follow the Pledge of Allegiance by Commissioner Fuller.
We can please bow our heads. Dear Lord, we thank you for this day. We thank you for this opportunity to meet and handle the business of Carroll County. We thank you for our constituents and those that are here with us this evening that are here to engage in the process. We have the most vibrant process in the entire world, Lord, and we thank you for all the many blessings you have bestowed upon us. Please lead, guide, and direct us, and we pray as we do the will of the county that it would also be pleasing in your eyes. We pray that our bodies would go to your service. We ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The next item is approval of the agenda. And Commissioners, I need to amend the agenda, and you know how much I hate doing that at the last minute because I feel strongly that the public needs time to weigh in, but both of these items are timely and have sort of expiration dates. So we will add 11.2, fire rescue equipment purchase. Consideration to approve fire rescue's request to purchase 3 Suffin heavy-duty custom pumpers with Cummins X12 powertrain at a total of $574,681.93 each for a total of $1,724,045.70 to come out of the 2021 SPOST. I'm also going to add under the business session 12.3 a resolution for horizontal apartments. Consideration to approve a resolution enacting a moratorium for 90 days on the acceptance of applications and the issuance of land disturbance and other permits for development of any single-family residential rental subdivisions, also known as horizontal apartments, to repeal our conflicting resolution. So do I have a motion to approve the agenda with the 2 items I'd like to add in a second?
Motion made.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Any opposed?
Approved 6-0.
Thank you. You each have had time to review the September 30th work session minutes and the October 5th commission meeting minutes. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes in a second?
Motion to approve items 6.1 and 6.2 as presented.
Second.
Any discussion on these minutes? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor? Any opposed?
Aye.
Approved 6-0.
We now are entering into the public comment section. Public comments are just that, an opportunity for the public to address the commission with any issues or concerns they may have. All remarks should be directed to the chairman and not to individual commissioners, staff, or citizens in attendance. Members of the public shall not make inappropriate or offensive comments. Any individual who violates the rules of decorum may be removed from the meeting. At this time, the board will not comment, nor will the board take any action on these comments. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes. There was a sign-up sheet in back. I'll take those names first, and then anyone else willing to speak at that time I'll ask again before we close out this section. The first person I have is Sharman Holland. Ms. Holland, if you don't mind, and any speaker that comes after you, state your name and address for us, please, for the record.
Thank you, Madam Chairman, Commissioners. My name is Sharman Holland. My mailing address is 3494 Jones Mill Road. I have property on Old Union Road, and I would like to address the Spring Road issue, if I might. I'm here to express my concerns and my disagreement with the proposed annexation of the Spring Road subdivision. My great-grandparents bought the land, and my grandson is the 6th generation to live on that land. In this land, I've watched my grandfather, my uncles, great-uncles, relatives farm this land and toil on it, and it's something I'm very proud of, and I want to maintain as much as possible the integrity of the land. But that's my personal hurt and concern, but there's some concerns that I feel like that facts may, and we need to look at with this proposal. The first thing is that there's going to be only one, from what we can tell, one access road into this proposed subdivision. That is Spring Road. Spring Road would have to be widened. As of now, it's a one-lane road. This exit will be onto Old Union Road. You already have a heavily trafficked county road with traffic going to Oak Mountain Academy certain times of day, and you're looking at many subdivisions on this road where people are going to and fro work. If you're looking at adding 122 houses on this parcel of land, there are not many homes now that do not have at least 2 cars in their driveway, if not more. So you're looking at adding another 244 cars that are going up and down Old Union Road, which will heavily impact the traffic. And then going then down to the bypass, once more you're impacting that. I'm also looking at the environmental impact. You're going to have major runoff with this, with 122 homes. You look at the roofs, I think that's probably right around a half acre. You have asphalt with the streets, you have asphalt with driveway, you have the roof, you have all the runoff. And you know, that runoff, then you have trash. I was recently down at McIntosh Reserve, and my heart was broken to see where all the trash had floated down to the river and accumulated there in the river. I don't want that to happen in Carroll County any further when you're looking at the creek that goes by Carrollton High School and on into Buffalo Swamp. And so I think the environmental impact there is something we need to look at. Sewage, how is the sewage going to be handled? How is the school's impact going to be on this? How will this impact our land?
Time is up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have Janice Baxter.
Madam Chairman and Commissioners, I'm Janie Baxter. I live at 1330 Old Union Road, and my home sits directly opposite Spring Road. So I will be really impacted by this development. I won't repeat the things that Sharman said, but the land has been in our family for 100 years. We value it, and we hate to see it devalued. I'm also concerned about the safety because I'm aware of the traffic. It is very busy in the mornings, it's busy in the afternoons, it's busy at noon, and when you add that many more automobiles at that intersection, it is limited sight, it's near a curve, and the people go really fast along there. So safety is an issue. The environmental impact is also an issue. I think it will impact the possibility of still being able to use this land in our area for agriculture. I'm also concerned that one of the parcels is in CUVA, and that was supposed to be in conservation until December 2025. If the county allows people to break those contracts, what precedent is that setting for the future of Carroll County? I also am concerned about the reputation of the builder. And if this reputation proves to be true, what will this 122 lot development look like in a few years? And Think about the financial hardship on the people who unsuspectingly buy homes that might not be well built, and how are they going to repair those? And this comes from anecdotal evidence of other developments by the same builder. So I really would like for you to think about all of the negative impacts on Carroll County and on the Oak Mountain community when you make this decision. Thank you.
Thank you. Seth Holland?
Hello, Seth Holland, live at 1460 Old Noonan Road. As my mother and my aunt have already stated, the numerous impacts that none of which are going to be positive for this area. I'm fifth generation living on this piece of property adjacent to where this subdivision is wanting to go in. It's 53 acres, approximately 10 acres of this is ephemeral area with multiple ephemeral streams going in it. So that even drops it down to 43 acres that you're wanting to squeeze 122 extra homes into. My child has chastised me heavily to chastise the county about how we do not need to keep destroying the areas for our children. We need to save these places for them, for our future generations. We're an ag county. Let's stay ag. Thank you for your time.
Melissa Brillhart?
Thank you. My name is Melissa Brillhart, and I live at 56 Mountain Oaks Drive. And as the other people who have come tonight, I am just one citizen, but there are many of us that are opposed to the 122 home development. And rather than just myself standing up here, anyone that is here tonight that is opposed to the building or development of the 122 home, please stand. Thank you. So you'll see it's not just a couple of us that are opposed, and we do plan to show up at the city planning meeting. I am concerned about the infrastructure and safety. I'm coming from a little bit different area than they are. We are right there at the corner of Oak Mountain Road as well as Noonan Highway. And for me, safety comes from, we have only one way to get in and out of our neighborhood, and we have near misses basically every day as we are turning out. But from a more personal note, it comes from my children that get on and off the bus that cannot access our neighborhood road. So just as a visualization, again, this is right looking out to Noonan Highway and where we exit out of our neighborhood, and this is where the bus stops. So the cars pile up in. As well as coming from the other direction, which is a curve coming towards Noonan Highway. This is my child crossing the road, so we do have to accompany them. There's no way I let them get off that bus. And so what's going to happen, I would gather, is when the backup on Old Noonan Highway happens and people cannot access the bypass, they're going to take the other way around, which comes back to our neighborhood on Oak Mountain Road to access to get on Noonan Highway or cross across to go shopping for that shortcut. And so again, from a safety and infrastructure is where I'm coming from. The development itself is going to be neighboring on about 4 to 5 of my wonderful neighbors' property. They'll be sharing that line right across there, and which they've enjoyed wonderful, they've enjoyed cattle behind them and trees since this neighborhood was developed in the early 1990s. There is a creek that runs behind there, and I know for my children, a creek can very much attract children. So when these children move into this 122 homes neighborhood, we will attract them back behind our neighborhood, and potentially there's a trespassing issue as they're crossing onto our street as well. I am very pro-growth for Carroll County. That is why we moved here about a year and a half ago. We love everything about Carrollton and Carroll County, and I'm very much about pro-growth in the community, but only when it is strategic, and that means infrastructure to support the growth. And so I thank you so much, and I really appreciate if you can support this and how it aligns with the long-term plan for the county for growth.
Thank you. Rhett Harmon.
Rhett Harmon, I reside at 198 Bohannon Road here in Carrollton. Appreciate the opportunity to come talk with everyone. Really, I'm here to try to at least add some clarity to some of the things come up. There's some partial information and some information that's not particularly factual in some of the things that's been said this evening. So I am representing the Ogletrees, which are the sellers of the property there on Neenan Road, which will be the Spring Hill development. It's my job as a real estate professional. I have clients that I represent for different scenarios. We try to figure out what's the right path to take with the property. I live on land. I like land, and my kids are very involved with the ag program. I think it's an important thing. I know that Carroll County is very agricultural based in what we're doing. We always have been, and I think that's an important part of our heritage and where we need to continue to have emphasis. However, we can't have agriculture everywhere. This site's 55 acres, and I do have a couple of books. If anybody would like one, they're welcome to get one that kind of gives the factual information that McDowell developers are going to put in the roads, and that's it. And Trademark Homes is going to put in the streets. And keep in mind, this is all with the city of Carrollton, which I think most people have understood that. But if Carroll County is going to openly say that they don't want this annexation to happen with a property that is adjoining the city of Carrollton, that has access to sewer, are they saying that we're anti-development for residential growth for everything? I understand that there's certain areas of the county that don't have high density things that make sense. Another thing that I wanted to make sure is a valid point is, there's a giant buffer out of this 54 acres. There's about 15 and a half acres of proposed green space. All this is in this book. You guys are welcome to get and look at. And it kind of shows what that's going to look like. Every person that lives in a subdivision, whether it's a larger subdivision or small one, was once someone's farm. I'm not going to ask, but I imagine if I did, there's a lot of people that might be opposed to this that probably live in a subdivision. And you got to think about, someone else had to ask for this to be able to have that opportunity. We have a lot of great companies that are here, a lot of school systems, and that there's also a lot of people that live here. I want a place for my children to be able to live when we grow here. When they grow up, to stay here, not just move on. These homes also, want to make sure that they're starting in the $350,000 range. So this is not a property like Eagle's Nest, which I've heard some people say, though. This is going to be a very nice new development, very, very nice for what it is. And one thing that I would want to make sure that I close on is that I've heard it mentioned that maybe it would make sense if there weren't quite as many homes, but with the requirements that Carroll County has in place for asphalt streets, curb and gutter, everything, to do something on 1 acre lots would probably cost the developer $100,000 to develop, in my estimation. It just doesn't work. Thank you.
Ellen Gilbert.
Good evening. My name is Ellen Gilbert. I live at 974 Eagle's Nest Circle in Carrollton, Georgia here. My input tonight is the negative impact of the developer that will be making the homes on Spring Road. I moved here over 19 years ago with my family. Within the first week, we got rolling of eyes. We got people saying, "Oh no, you live in one of those homes that McDowell built." My roof slid off. The home was 2 years old. My roof slid off because either he wasn't over all of it. The roofers, they hire many roofers. You can't pinpoint who to go to and take up a lawsuit and say, please put a new roof on. Nobody's accountable. So they mass put it out there so everybody builds, and they're not liable. You can't go to any roofer. You can't get any work done. Nobody's responsible for these homes that are being built. We had 3 roofers tell us that shouldn't have even passed code. I've been across the street to homes that were built while we lived there. 7 homes were built. I've had architectural training. They shifted the soil, they brought soil in, there was a rainstorm, it totally took out all the land, they brought more soil in, shifted it around, made it look good, put a foundation in, and we're already building within a month. That land needs to sit for 6 months when you shift soil, at least 6 months. In the books, code, up to a year. These people, there are cracks within a month after they finished building them. We went over and looked. There were huge cracks in the foundation already because the land hadn't been allowed to settle. But these are just some of the issues. We have homes that were built without a back and exit. They're like, well, there's one on the back of the garage down in the basement. Well, you have to go down to the front door to get to that door. These homes are not built right. People, my neighbors, older communities that I've been to and visited with people, these homes are trashy after 10 years. Is that the negative impact that we want for our community? I don't think so. I don't think we want people to come to Carroll County and say, oh, you know, you really don't want to buy there because the homes are built terrible. They don't make the contractors to a certain standard. We want good homes built. So, thank you.
I don't have any more names that pre-signed up, but is there anyone else here tonight that would like to speak for 3 minutes during the public comment section? Okay. If you'll state your name and address a little slower because we don't have it written down and they can catch it.
My name is Mike Pascal. I live on 115 Spring Road at the very end of it. Our family actually owns 1305 Old Noonan, 60 Spring Road, and 115 Spring Road, which are the 3 bordering properties to the property that the Ogletrees are selling to be developed. My children, you know, I started it for 36 years. I've been on the road. My children have played on this road their whole life. We've had safety. We've had privacy. As far as I see it, that annexes into the city. We're going to have city boundaries 20 feet from the doorstep of 2 of our homes. Will be 20 feet from the city. I've hunted that property the past 10, 15 years to keep meat in the freezer through the winter. As far as I know, that would prevent me from doing that. You got to be 200 yards outside of the city. It would harm that. It would add noise and the danger of cars coming in and out to my children and my family. Actually, the family that we had sold the property to at the time had actually told us by handshake agreement that the property would never be developed on, that it would stay pasture. That's what we were told when we had sold the property to the current owners. I guess that's everything I have to say. It's just, you know, a concern to have 122 homes and a subdivision 50 feet from my house. That's all. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Kurt Henley. My wife Beth and I live at 1530 Noonan Road, and I would also like to use this opportunity to express my concerns and opposition to the Spring Road project. Our home is just west of the development, and I won't reiterate all the other concerns that have been presented, but they're obviously very similar. The impact on existing structure, the protection of the integrity of our existing values. But just in general, I would summarize it to say the elected leadership here in Carrollton and Carroll County has just done an outstanding job of maintaining a very high quality standard of life. And it certainly doesn't seem that this project is consistent with that high quality standard of life. I'd also want to add that I've been in contact with some other vested stakeholders, the POA president for Oak Mountain Golf, as well as the POA president for Mill Pond. They've also asked me to express their opposition to this, and including our neighbor Diane Rash, who owns property adjacent, and everyone is opposed to it for reasons similar to those that have been presented, plus
plus the ones that I stated, which again, if I could just generalize it and summarize it, is it just doesn't seem to fit the high quality of life and high quality standards that have, again, our elected officials have done such a great job of establishing and maintaining. So thank you for this time.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak for 3 minutes?
Hello, my name is Keith Knowles. I live at 152 Open Skyway in Villarica. Last month at this meeting, I was shortchanged 30 seconds of my time standing up here. I reached out to the appropriate channels, and through good leadership and professional resolution, that time clock sits up there because people listen. So I wanted to take this time to say that I've lost more than 30 seconds throughout this process. So thank you for the professionalism, the leadership in resolving a simple problem. Okay? So with that being said, let's apply all that I've lost to carrying on with those new fire trucks you added to the agenda. Let's approve those radios and let's keep moving forward. Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak during the public comments? I'll ask again a second time. Is there anyone that would like to speak during the public comments? Okay, please come forward.
Hi, my name's Mary Sadeth, and I represent Trademark Quality Homes in Georgia West Realty. I reside at 115 College Street here in Carrollton. And I just wanted to make sure that people realize that it's not McDowell as the builder for this property. It's Trademark Quality Homes. I've represented them with several neighborhoods in Haralson and Carroll County and the city limits of Carrollton, and I feel like we build a very, very good product, and that we have a lot of very satisfied buyers, and that it would be a very, very nice property. Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak during the public comment section?
Good evening. My name is Lori McDowell. I reside at 230 North Lakeshore Drive, Carrollton, Georgia. And I represent Dennis McDowell as the general contractor. I am the buying agent for the Spring Road property, and I'm also the selling agent for the proposed 122 lot sale, if that is, if that works out. Our goal is for this to be a win-win situation for everyone involved. McDowell has actually sold over 5,000 lots. We have worked with DRB Group, which is one of the nation's largest home builders, and we have letters of recommendation that I would like to share with everyone so they understand that we're actually going in and we're grading the lots, preparing them for Trademark to build on. So I just appreciate the opportunity for us to get this information out. We do have a packet, and if anyone is, that would like to take a little bit more time and read through what we're actually trying to do, we would appreciate that. Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak?
Yes, my name is Stanley Pascal. I'm going to be living next to this new development. Excuse me, I'm a little out of breath. I've been rushed from Atlanta to get here. We were approached a number of years ago. We received a letter in the mail wanting to know if our 30 acres, which is part of nearly half of this parcel, if it was for sale. I guess we thought about it. We'd like to do some things in our life, and we really hadn't had a lot of money to do stuff with. So I guess it put the taste in our mouth. But we decided to go down to the Ogletrees and talk to them and see if there was any interest there. We would love to have our cake and pie and eat it all at the same time. But Robert Ogletree, he's a fine man. They came to us with an offer of $10,000 an acre, and with the promise that it would remain in pasture. And so that was more than we could have hoped for. And so we sold them the land, and I guess that'll bring us all the way up to today. I guess my only comments is, we all got a right, to do, in our lives, what we want to do. But I just don't see how in the world we're going to get over 100 cars out of my little old driveway out on the Old Union Road to go to work every morning. And I've looked at the parcels, and there's only about one place, that you can get out, and that's the little Spring Road. We have to sit out there a minute, 2 or 3 minutes, sometimes to, even getting out the road ourselves, on account of the Oak Mountain School traffic. And so I don't know a lot more to say than that we're a little disappointed that it is going to turn into a multi-complex subdivision right there, just 100 feet off my property, and all those cars will be going in and out of our driveway. I just don't see how it can sustain that kind of traffic every morning. I don't guess I know anything else to say other than the Ogletrees are fine people, especially Robert Ogletree. But they made us a promise that it would remain in pasture. And thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak tonight during the public comment section? I'll ask one more time. Is anyone here that would like to speak during the public comment section? Okay, hearing and seeing none, we'll move on into our zoning session. I'd like to remind, I'm sorry.
Chairman, we have our special recognitions first.
Oh, I'm sorry, that was not on my, oh, yes it is, sorry. I'm taking too many notes at the same time. Sorry, y'all. How can I forget you over here, guys? We are now going to have a recognition of our Carroll County Fire Rescue graduates. If I could call Darian Crawford, Joey Henderson, and David Eyrig forward, and Chief Barnwell, please. And commissioners, as we've done in the past, if you'll follow me over here to the front. Ashley Holsey is our communications director, and she does a wonderful job keeping up our website and our Facebook posts. So she will be sure to update this, and so you can read more about what really went into these classes. So again, thank you guys for getting your certification. Okay, we will now move into our zoning session. Please remember, the applicant or anyone speaking in favor of the application or request shall be allowed a total of 10 minutes to present their request. Anyone opposed to the request shall also have a total of 10 minutes to present their opposition. If there are multiple speakers for or against an application, please be mindful of each other that you only have 10 minutes and 10 minutes to do so. After that, we'll have anyone speaking for or against the application shall be allowed a total of 5 minutes to speak in rebuttal. I'm now going to call on the county planner, Janet Hyde, because we have a couple zoning.
Good evening, Chairman and Commissioners. The first item that I have for you all tonight is item Z-21-11-01. This is a request for rezoning of 1 acre and an existing home out of a 65.57 acre tract from ag to residential located at 2036 Rockmart Road in Villa Rica. This is parcel 145-0019. The applicant is Gregory Broom, and this is Commission District 3. I think your agenda says this is rezoning of the whole 65.57 acre tract, but we did advertise this as 1 acre of that tract.
Okay.
And we did, the staff report also says it's 1 acre. Mr. Broom wants to divide off the existing home on the property with 1 acre, and in order to do that, he would have to rezone this to residential. He wants to keep the remaining of the property as agricultural to combine it with his other agricultural property. There was no opposition to his application. Staff recommended approval, and Planning Commission also recommended approval. And Mr. Broom is here.
So Janet, can I just clarify? So we are rezoning, the request, is to rezone 1 acre from the 65.67?
1 acre with existing home.
Okay, 1 acre with an existing home from the 65.67?
Yes.
Okay.
Hi, my name's Greg Broom, and I'm the guy wanting the zoning change. And it is only 1 acre. This has no practical impact to anything. There's no residential homes going in there. The one home needs to be renovated, and it's just something I don't want to do at my age anymore. So I want to put the remaining 64 acres into a 10-year covenant with the adjoining property that I have that's already in a 10-year covenant, and protect it for a while from development. And the area is designated from 2018 as the area of the county that will eventually get the most residential growth. Directly across the street, there are 2 homes that are on 1.3 acres. On the south side of this home, there's another house that is on 1 acre. And with the exception of that one home on the 1 acre, I own all the surrounding property around this 1 acre that I'm asking to be rezoned. And within 900 feet, there are 2 subdivisions that are on, that have homes on less than a half an acre. Within a quarter mile, there's another 2 subdivisions that have the majority of their homes on less than a half an acre. But the main thing is, you won't see any change from it. It'll only have 1 home on it that's already there. Hopefully I can sell it and have it renovated, and it'll be nicer than it is now. I'm asking you to rezone the 1 acre so that I can do that and protect the other 64 acres for at least 10 years. Thank you.
Is there anyone else here to speak in favor of this request?
Not that I know of.
Okay, I'll ask in just in case. Is there anyone here that wants to speak in favor of this request? Okay, seeing and hearing none, I will then ask, is there anyone here that wants to speak in rebuttal against the rezoning of this 1 acre? I'll ask a second time, is there anyone here who would like to speak against this? Okay, seeing and hearing none, are there any questions for the staff or applicant from the Board of Commissioners? Okay, seeing and hearing none, I will ask for a motion
Motion made.
to,
To approve.
okay, let's make sure. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion or questions from the commission?
This particular item resides in Commissioner Tommy Lee's district, who is not able to be here with us this evening. I've spoken with Commissioner Lee, and he is in favor of the approval of what is being presented.
Not seeing or hearing any further discussion. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Any opposed?
Aye.
Approved 6-0.
Thank you.
Right, thank you. All right, 9.2, I'll bring Janet back up.
The next item I have is Z-21-1102 and C-21-1102. This is a request for rezoning of 11.44 acres from ag to commercial and a conditional use for a storage facility on 12.9 acres located on West Highway 78, parcels 147-0218 and 147-0006. The owner is the estate of Clifford Brown. The applicant is Leonard Olam. This is also Commission District 3. Mr. Olam would like to rezone this and have a conditional use for a self-storage facility. This is currently the flea market that's just outside the city limits of Villa Rica. Staff is recommending approval of this. Planning Commission also recommended approval, and there was no opposition. Mr. Olam and his attorney are present.
Good evening. My name's Joel Larkin, and I'm with the law firm Sams, Larkin & Huff in Marietta, and I'm pleased to be here tonight representing Mr. Olam. Apologize for my voice, I got a cold. I brought some photographs. May I bring them up to you? You'll take them? Okay. As you heard, this is an assemblage of two pieces of property, one of which is the old West Side Flea Market, and the other is the adjacent home. If you go through the photographs, you guys are probably familiar with this property, but I tried to give you some shots from the road. This property is very uniquely suited to be self-storage. If you look to the third picture, you'll see the buildings that are on the property. There's two large buildings that are, the back half is enclosed where they stored material that was sold at the flea market, and the front is a covered shelter. These are in great condition so that the front part can be closed in as well, and the existing buildings can be used for self-storage when renovated in that way. In addition to these two large structures on the property, there is an old house that you'll see when you go to like the 8th page, and there's a few pictures of that. This house is boarded up and is in a state of disrepair. My wife would call it deferred maintenance, and she would blame it on me. But the applicant's intention with this home is to renovate it and convert it into an office structure to serve the flea market. If you go 4 pictures after that, you'll see there's some other old structures on the property. There's an old barn, and there's an old building that was a tire shop at one time. Those buildings are going to be taken down and removed from the property. The present intention then is to use the two larger buildings for self-storage and the house for an office. There'll also be RV and boat parking on the property. Staff has gone through the criteria for the use permit on it. This property is so ideally suited, it's hard to imagine making another use of it other than a flea market with the existing buildings that you have. The area that it's in is a very mixed area. There's a number of self-storage projects in the immediate area. There's several convenience store gas stations. There's a concrete plant immediately across the street. There's a large church. There's a produce market. You've got a little bit of everything in this area, and they all seem to coexist very well. So with that, we're happy to respond to any questions that you may have.
Well, not at this time. Is there anyone else here to speak in favor of the proposed rezoning.
Mr. Olam is here to respond to questions. I don't think he planned on making any comments other than that.
I'll ask, is there anyone else here willing to speak in favor of this? Okay, seeing and hearing none, is there anyone here to speak against this application? I'll ask a second time, is there anyone here to speak against the application? Okay, seeing and hearing none, we'll waive the 5 minutes. At this time, are there any questions from the Board of Commissioners for staff or the applicant?
Ms. Hyde, I have a question. Our ordinance requires us to apply a conditional use permit. Is there any thought from staff if there would need to be the need to restrict this to the current owner only with this rezoning?
I don't believe so, because I think this would, this use is going to require improvements to be made to the property. So I don't think it would be appropriate to restrict this to the current owner.
Okay. And did Mr. Olam provide any sketching or renderings or so forth of what he plans to do with the property?
No, he did not.
Okay.
Just, not sketches, but just a description of what he's planning to do.
Okay. Moving forward, and I can only speak for myself, I would like to see staff present anything that comes before us with some type of rendering. There's all different level or increments, if you will, of what amount of resources can be put into that. So it doesn't mean that they have to spend an exorbitant amount of money, but not to have anything visually before me. I do have some hesitation just about that alone. So in the future, if we can ensure that that happens.
Okay.
I do have a question for Mr. Olam. Mr. Olam, you and I spoke on the phone a few weeks ago. It's good to see you in person, sir. Did you, in looking at this particular property, have you, I guess you've checked out the feasibility, or you've walked the property, or you would understand, I guess, how many units you could put on there, or what you're remodeling? And I guess the caveat to that question is just trying to figure out, do you have any visualizations or anything that you have worked on that gives an idea of what this property would look like?
I would, by the way, thank you for entertaining this. And the two storage buildings, the two flea market buildings they are amazingly great for self-storage as it is. So what I was going to do is put, you have a design outlay. You have like it's in a design outlay district. So what I was going to do is have an engineer or an architect redesign the front of the buildings, do a ton of landscaping. I think that's what y'all need in that area, in that specific property. Move back the gates because they're too close to the Bankhead Highway, and I would put fencing around it. And what I envision is putting lights on the storage buildings. And then in the back area where the barn is, it's already fenced in, it's paved, and I was going to put RV and boats back there and put some more lights.
Okay. And you do operate a business similar to this in other, either municipalities or other counties as well, correct?
Yes. I have 4 in Paulding County right now.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Sir, I have a question. You just stated you're going to put lights on the buildings?
Yes.
Okay. That's located on a state highway.
Oh, I'm going to put lights, on the buildings.
Right, but, okay, this property is located on state route, US 78, correct?
Yes, I will have to get approval.
And you're aware that there are certain restrictions, how the lights have to be put in, and you have to have buffering around the property?
Yes, that's in the design outlay district, I presume, and I have to get LDP, land disturbance permit, I think, for all that needs to be done.
Okay.
Any other questions?
I have a question on your application, and this is no bad reflection, but I can't really read your handwriting very well. And so you made some references. So I think they're in here, but I want to make sure we're very clear on this. So the two buildings that are kind of like a building and then a pavilion, you're planning to keep those buildings and make them storage, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Those will be storage. And then the front of it, where it's open, I was going to do a new facade, like a brick-like facade, because I think that's in the design outlay.
Okay, and then the house, you are planning to renovate that. So can we, I guess, Commissioner Chance, you will probably make the motion because you've talked to Commissioner Lee. So the house will be renovated. Sometimes we just approve things and we don't, what is actually said in discussion is not always gone forward unless we put it into the motion.
Okay.
So I wanted to make sure we had some clarity on discussion versus
The house is supposed to be renovated for an office.
what was actually going to happen there. Okay.
And I'm going to demolish
the old barn is going to be demolished.
Demolished. I'd like to do a chicken coop back there, but I think I have to demolish it. I've never had chickens before, but
Okay, and then there's this building right here. Is this also the barn, or is this the back of?
That's the tire shop that I referenced.
Okay, this is the old tire shop. Okay, I have driven by here, but this is a lot more than I thought. Okay, so you're going to remove the old tire shop too?
Yes.
We're going to put that into the
and that's where I was going to do the parking. There was already a fence-like area.
Okay.
It's already fenced in with pavement.
the old tire shop, okay. And this right here must be the neighbor, or this is a sample of what you already own?
Those are some photographs of what's directly across the street.
Across the
That's
street,
the
okay.
concrete plant.
Okay. Well, okay. Okay. So it says power grid, Janet, is that correct? This is the concrete plant?
That's across the street,
Okay,
Madam
because
Chairman.
I've got these pictures, I'm assuming it's concrete plant. Okay.
It's also across the street.
Okay, just want to make sure.
The last 5 photographs of the project across the street.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
I've got just a quick
Go ahead,
question.
please.
It's kind of well, it's actually for Janet, I think. But it's similar to Commissioner Chance's. Since we don't have graphics and all that, I guess I'm recalling when you and I at some point in the past went over, I think it was along the growth corridors, though, where we have commercial and or industrial property. We have several requirements for what the front of the building should look like and how much brick facade and whatever.
Right.
Will any of that apply to this?
It does, and that's, I think, what he's calling design overlay. It's the
Okay.
corridor development plan, and it does
Okay.
require the facade the metal can't be showing on the road, increased landscaping requirements, the lighting has to be, shining down, it can't be shining toward the road.
Right.
So there's several requirements there that will have to be met, and staff will review those plans before it's approved.
Okay.
Are there any more questions for the staff or the applicant at this time? Okay, seeing and hearing none, I will ask for a motion in a second.
I'll make a motion to approve contingent upon the applicant meeting the growth corridor plan and any other applicable ordinance requirements, which would include a rendering of how the property will be utilized to be determined ultimately by staff as satisfactory.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion from the commission?
I would like to clarify that there is some, while there are things written out, there's some subjectivity in that. Rather than disapproving this, there's going to be some subjectivity with staff in moving forward and just making sure that the applicant completely understands what the motion on the table is.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed?
Approved 6-0.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right. No, I voted no. So it's 6, you forgot we got George. Oh wait, Tommy's missing. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in favor, 1 against. It's okay. Okay. We now move to zoning 9.3. Oh, yes.
Thank you.
9.3, Highway 113, East Luke Road.
This is item Z-21-11-03. This is a request for rezoning of a 139.98 acres from commercial to industrial located on Highway 113 at East Luke Road. in Temple. This is parcels 125-0354, 125-0355, and 125-0590. The owner is the Johnson Estate and Alton Johnson and Cedar Torrey Shoals. The applicant is ISG in care of Billy Jack Bell, and this is also Commission District 3. At the Planning Commission recommended approval. There was no opposition. Staff is also recommending approval, but there have been some discussions among staff since the Planning Commission meeting, and we did want to make some recommendations for your approval if you decide to approve this. We think that the owner-developer should reconstruct West Luke Road to meet a minimum industrial paving standard, which is 10 inches of base, 3 inches of binder, and 1.5 inches of topping, or an industrial standard suitable to public works. The owner-developer will agree that all internal streets shall remain private. The owner-developer shall agree that to build the industrial buildings and lots in accordance with the corridor development plan. The property shall also be restricted to be used as an industrial park, and covenants and restrictions shall be recorded in the deed records. And the owner-developer shall also be responsible for all traffic and intersection improvements required by GDOT. Those are just some things that staff in later discussions have decided that should be, that we recommend if you all decide to approve this. And Mr. Bell is present. Okay, great.
Good evening, Madam Chair, Commissioners. I'm Billy Jack Bell, Industrial Solutions Group, 995 North Cliff Drive, Atlanta, Georgia. I'm here today to respectfully request the rezoning of 139 acres from commercial to industrial with the intent of building a business park. It is speculative in nature. I do not have a tenant at this time. This is in keeping with the future land use map. The utilities are appropriate, the location is appropriate, the adjacency to a truck repair facility now, a mobile home sales facility, Janus International is across the street, Royal Metals is across the street, more furniture and similar type uses are in the area. So I feel this is in keeping with the area and is very appropriate. I am very strategic in the opportunities that I seek. I want to be a good neighbor in general, and part of that is trying to be in a location that's not adjacent to schools, that's not in a place that's going to cause a whole lot of disturbance. And conversely, I want to also be in an area where there is some protection. So the piece of property, if you're looking at it, it is adjacent to I-20. It is adjacent to Highway 113. It is subdivided by multiple creeks, wetlands, power easements, and gas easements, which make the property very conducive to smaller multi-tenant buildings, not the large cross docks, not the bulk distribution buildings you're seeing off of Thornton Road. My goal is to build a few buildings myself that I will lease out speculatively. I will make that initial investment, build those buildings, and work with the county and the community to expand the existing industries as well as to attract new industries. Part of the plan is in the fact that it's speculative, and I do not have a site plan because it is a large piece of property. Some of this will probably be phased in. Some of these may be existing industries that are already here and or seek to be here, and they don't know exactly what they need, and they need a unique situation to be fulfilled, and that would be a build-to-suit requirement. And that is trying to put a round peg in a square hole or a square hole in a round peg. We want to make sure that we have the ability to match and meet what somebody is going to require by setting very high standards, professional environment, putting some initial infrastructure in as well as building some initial buildings, and then continuing to work off that momentum and build a really, really high-end park that's going to attract high-end quality jobs to the county This is my personal investment. I am not a REIT out of Chicago or New York or Boston. You can call me on my cell phone at any time and get in touch with me. I am very flexible, but also very stringent in the expectations I have for the park. I want very good neighbors because I'm going to be investing in this personally. I am going to make sure that whomever is in this park is going to be a good neighbor, not just for me, but for the entire community. So with that, if there's any questions, I'm here.
Is there anyone else here to speak in favor of this application?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. At this time, is there anyone who wants to speak against this application? I'll ask a second time. Is there anyone here who wants to speak against this application? All right, seeing and hearing none. Commissioners, if you have any questions for staff or the applicant.
Just want to make sure you're okay with the changes and recommendations that they made.
I think so. Some of those, there are some details in there. If I'm building any infrastructure in the park as far as roads, that should be on me as the developer. There may be some opportunities where somebody may say, while we're dealing with staff, again, this is the flexibility. I have not come up and said, here's exactly what I'm going to build yet. So my ability to work with staff and the community and everybody is greatly enhanced by not having a plan and a capital partner that's going to say, here's how you're doing it. So I have no issue paying for the infrastructure. I have no issue meeting the ordinances and the codes. I have no problem at all and love enhanced landscaping. There may be an opportunity where one of the roads or some of the roads may potentially, as we're sitting down and working together collaboratively, where they may say, you know what, let's take a section of this road because it could serve a greater purpose later on down the road, where y'all may choose that should serve for a future connection for some adjacency, where I don't know if it makes sense to necessarily tie it down that it shouldn't be publicly dedicated. But certainly it should be paid for by me, if that makes any sense. So if there's some things that should be dedicated, in other words, I'm flexible. Anything that serves my buildings that's internal to the park, I don't want those to be public roads. But if there are, so like East Luke Road's one of the roads, Highway 13 is one of the roads, West Luke Road, there may be some opportunities to put like a traffic light in and line some roads up in a way that currently do not match. If that happens, y'all may want some of that to be public so that you can serve some additional pieces of property and add some value and add taxes back to the base for the community. But in general, I'm absolutely fine with it. Every standard that y'all have meets mine, and I think you'll be very happy with what I'm going to do.
This is a question for staff, just to be sure, but Janet, I guess this isn't like up around Bremen where we have some water shortages. So we'll be okay water-wise as far as, since industrial organizations might go in there, we'll be okay from a water standpoint as well.
As far as I know, that will be on the applicant to, assure that that's okay. There is an 8-inch water main on 113.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I assume there's sewer down there, right?
It will not be served by sewer.
Okay. How are you going to address that?
Well, through engineering, I would like to tie on to the sewer. The sewer is across Highway 113 in the Temple Industrial Park, so it's adjacent to the property. It's not currently sitting on the property.
Okay. All right. And I assume this is primarily, you're looking for manufacturing?
I'm looking for a combination of things, but manufacturing would be wonderful. Majority of what I will do, because of the speculative nature of some of these buildings, there'll be anything from 20,000 to maybe 60,000 square foot, and there'll be numerous different types of jobs that will come with those. Some will be manufacturing, some will be light distribution, some will probably be pick and sort. So yes, sir. I don't know exactly what my tenants are, but that would certainly be one of the target industries. And we'll work with you all to help figure out who some of those targeted industries are so we can be specific in what we're looking for.
Maybe some high tech.
The better the jobs, the happier I'll be.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Do I have a motion and a second?
Make a motion to approve the rezoning of the 139.9 acres with the addition of the 5 specific conditional requirements as discussed by staff.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any further questions or discussion from the Board of Commissioners?
This agenda item also sits in Vice Chairman Lee's district, who I have spoken with, and he is agreeable to the terms that are being presented.
Great. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Approved 6-0.
Great.
Thank you. Look forward to working with you all.
Likewise. Thank you.
We'll now move to the consent agenda. All items under this action were discussed on Thursday, December 2nd, 2021 at our work session and will be presented for the consideration as one item and only one vote will be taken. We have 10.1 Judicial Branch State of Georgia ARPA Grant, 10.2 Public Safety and First Responder Pay Supplement Grant, 10.3 Intergovernmental Agreement with the City of Temple for a Sewer Project, 10.4 Portable Radio Replacement, 10.5 Budget Amendment for General Fund and Miscellaneous Projects, 10.6 Budget Amendments 2021 SPLOST Debt Service Fund, 10.7 Public Works Restriping and Pavement Markings, and 10.8 a Vehicle Purchase Request. And I want to note on this one that Commissioner Chance has abstained from voting on this particular item, even though we're going to take one vote. 10.9, the Board of Tax Assessors appointment. 10.10, Board of Elections and Registration appointment. 10.11, Pathway Center Community Service Board appointment. 10.12, Carroll County Water Authority appointment, and that is by District 2, District 3, and District 4. And 10.13, redistricting plan and review resolution. Do I have a motion to approve these consent agenda items?
Make the
Motion made to approve.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Approved 6-0.
Now we will move into our financial session. We are considering two firms, Lockton and then Marsh and Mclennan, who we heard from at our work session last Thursday. Theron Gay, who led the committee, is here to answer any questions from the Board of Commissioners.
Madam Chairman, is this appropriate for us to talk, or is Mr. Gay going to present?
So he's here that if you want to, at this point, ask some questions or have general discussion.
Alicia's passing out some information on the rankings that came from the committee, and you guys can take a look at those. Be glad to answer any questions that you have. The maximum ranking was 42.5, and you should have the rankings there before you for the various groups. The Marsha Mclennan and Lockton were the top two, with Lockton at 36.9. That's out of a possible 42.5. And of course, Marsha Mclennan was at 38.8. The other two groups we interviewed, one was 34.4 and one was 34. So they were under these two. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have. We have hopefully provided you guys with a copy of the RFP. We have provided you with a copy now of the evaluation forms. Any notes that were made in either by myself or the committee members, I've sent to you guys in an email, and I'll be happy to answer any questions that any of you have at this point. And of course, we're in the process of choosing a broker. We're not looking at the insurance plan. Compensation, we ranked everybody the same, all four with compensation, because all of them was, a combination of fees and or commission and fees or commissions. So all of that needs to be determined at a later point. But we ranked all four at the same schedule, since all of them were, basically listed the same thing on their proposal. So I'll be happy to answer any questions. I do think that you guys are going to have a tough decision tonight. I do think that both of these companies bring a lot to the table. I think both have a lot to offer, and I think you guys will be very pleased with whoever you're working with. And of course, it's a tough decision, but it really comes down to, who you feel would have the best product for you, who you feel will work best with your staff, and best represent the county as your partner when you go out to the various insurance companies for your property and liability insurance.
I will start. I'd like to say that I'd like to thank you, Mr. Gay, for helping lead. You have a way of presenting knowledge in layman's terms that everyone can understand, but you've got a lot of institutional knowledge in dealing with these things. So thank you. Thank you to the committee members who participated, and I also want to thank everyone, not just the 2 finalists, but everyone that submitted through the RFP process. We appreciate you wanting to earn the business with Carroll County. I think many times as commissioners, we sit here and we vote on things, and we can't talk in length about every item. We've done our homework and research before, but I think this is one of those items that deserves a little bit of attention to understand, at least for my constituents in District 2, to understand how I'll be making my decision tonight. One good thing I can say is sometimes we vote on items and we definitely want someone and we definitely do not want someone else. That's not the case here this evening. Either firm that's going to be chosen, I think, will do an outstanding job, and that in some ways can be tougher, that you want to get just the right choice, but it also is a breath of relief, if you will, knowing no matter who is chosen this evening, both have been reputable, both have presented themselves well, and I mean that. I want to thank the 2 finalists for that. I want to commend Chairman Morgan in working and talking with different department heads and being involved with the board. I know she has tried to be very proactive. We're going to have wrecks, we're going to have things that are going to happen, but in the same note, she's been very proactive in trying to work with her staff, working with the current sitting broker that we have, and trying to make sure we're utilizing all the resources to make sure that we can mitigate any of those risks. And so I do want to publicly thank the chairman for your efforts in that. Really quick to kind of run through this. One of the things that I wanted to see is how the process began with the committee. And so I had asked for some documentation through our county clerk, and I wanted to see what were some of how was the process, how did it work, what were some of the categories that you were looking at, and so forth. I did ask in my request, not that it was required, but I did ask for any tally sheets such as that has been presented this evening to be redacted. I also asked for any comments, notes that were taken for any committee member names to be redacted. Obviously, there's certain department heads or certain committee members that we may work with more often than others in the county, and I did not want my opinion to be swayed just because I necessarily believed in one committee member. So I did want to see their note-taking. I did want to see the structure of how the committee started the process, but here again, I didn't want to be swayed to a certain extent. Those included qualifications, history, account team, references, services, attributes, and compensation. Anytime we have presentations and look at packets, we can always offer areas for improvement. I'm not going to go into any of those this evening. Those were very minuscule from both firms, but I do want to go into the positives or the strengths from both institutions. First, I'll start with Marsha Mclennan, formerly J. Smith Lanier. They have a long history. I believe Mr. Jensen stated that they have been with Carroll County and representing us for 27 years. So definitely a track record there. They have the largest firm, I believe, in the country, the subsidiary company. They have been definitely responsive to our needs. They have a track record of monetarily handling claims for Carroll County. I also wanted to point out that Mr. Jennings gave me a personal invitation, I know with some other commissioners, when I was new to the board, to bring me into the office to sit down to talk about some things as they saw claims or saw what their job was, and so that meant a lot to me, and I appreciated that extension of the olive branch to bring me in and help me wrap my brain around how his company worked in representing Carroll County. I do like the fact that they have a local office here in Carrollton. I did like how Cyber threats, as they were talked about, was a big topic, and I like that that was very well explained. Seemed to have a competent representative in discussing that. Moving on to Lockton, I like the fact, I originally had some concerns about them joining the company with Lockton, some just in 2021, but as I probed further, I like the idea that this team came from another institution that was going to be bought out, and that the team itself had been together for 10 plus years, if I'm not mistaken. And so I like the camaraderie there and the professionalism that these individuals understood on the team, what their roles are. I like the fact that the company is still a top-tier company. It's still one of the largest in the country as well. Not the largest, as is with Marsh, but still in the top tier. I like that they were a privately owned firm, and actually the largest privately owned firm. A lot of times we tend to think entrepreneurship only extends to mom and pop or only extends to a certain level. So the fact that they're privately owned and not publicly traded, even at that size of an organization, I think is very impressive and notable. I like how it was explained that the umbrella of the ownership essentially only retains 10%. And the theory was that with other publicly traded companies, you tend to see a return to shareholders anywhere from 25 to 35%. So to me, it allowed the focus, hopefully in theory, as it was explained, that there were more resources, or hopefully there could be a channeling more of money back into the team or to resources and so forth. And I think that just ties back again to the entrepreneurship that I appreciated. I liked when I asked the question about the client to rep ratio, that there was a specific answer. It was spouted off, I believe, 6 to 10 clients, and then they talked about that would obviously depend on the nature of the companies that they were represented. And so what that told me was there was not, hey, well, we won't take on more than we can handle. It told me there was some type of formula to work within, and that service was paramount over profit. I think it comes down to this. There's many things that we all may consider differently. References, I checked with both companies' references. Both were impeccable references. Some of the common themes were always quick, always responsive, always there to handle our needs. So here again, it goes back to the theme as I started out. I believe either firm would do us a good job. As far as the local aspect, I think that comes into play, but it comes into play within proportion. Also, looking at this, here again, it kind of makes the decision even harder. You've got with Marsh, they currently have the Carrollton City School Systems account, which is locally here at the county seat of the county. And Lockton, I guess, is the primary with GMA, who holds the city of Carrollton and Villa Rica City. So I think you've got two firms that both represent entities here locally. Both had stellar references there, which is good, but here again makes the decision even harder. To me, it comes down to the goal, which is to reduce total cost of risk. At the end of the day, as I stated, sometimes you vote for and vote against. Here, that's not the case for me. I'm going to be pleased with either one, but the reality is you can't vote for two entities. You can only vote for one. To me, my support would go to Lockton in that I do believe there's a sense of eagerness, a sense of maybe a fresh set of eyes coming in to look at our institution, to take a look, is there anything that we're missing? And the old adage goes, you don't know what you don't know. We've got professionals in place. The chairman has done an excellent job, so has our staff. But for me, sometimes you have to bring in a new set of professional eyes to take a look at something to see, is there anything that you're missing? And it's very hard for me to sit up here and put myself out to explain that's my job, but the other is the reality that someone doesn't get picked no matter who wins here. And it's a very tough decision, but I hope that both entities will respect my truthfulness, that I tried to do my research. Both of you are winners, and I believe both of you would do an outstanding job for Carroll County. And thank you for the time, and Madam Chairman, thank you for my time and being able to explain some of my research and my thought process.
I'd also like to make a couple comments if I could. I do appreciate, as I said in the work session, my fellow commissioners and the chair for allowing an RFP process, because when I came on board and learned that this was basically around an $800,000 annually renewable contract with no periodic and systematic bidding, competitive bidding process, I was somewhat aghast at that, and so we've corrected that, and I appreciate your work on that there, and to make that happen. And I think we put together a good process and came up with two firms that are competitive. I would like to say that as far as the local aspect, yes, we like to go with local firms when we can. In this case, since this is insurance for the county, I think my main concern is that we have 670 thereabouts local county staff, and whoever can serve those 670 local county staff the best, and our buildings and so forth that are all local, that's who I'm for. So I'd just like to leave it at that and say the local aspect to me is not necessarily where maybe some staff people are located, but it's where we can get the best for our local employees.
I'd like to take just a moment. I would like to thank Commissioner Reynolds. Before we did this same process last year with the health insurance and involved many of the county employees to get a health insurance program that they were very happy with and would do them well, as well as serve the citizens of Carroll County with the funds. So I appreciate you asking to do this process, because I am a very do local business. Shop with the people who are your neighbors, shop with the people who go to school with you. And this process also helps keep the local people honest to make sure they aren't really doing things or not doing things they shouldn't be doing. I will say, having been chairman in the last year, I have completely enjoyed working with Newton and J. Smith Lanier. We've had several incidences. It's very hard sometimes for me to remember at the end of the day to send you an email and say, guess what happened today, guys? I'm worn out, I'm exhausted by that point. But I will tell you, anytime staff or myself has had to call, they're 4 or 5 minutes down the road with traffic, and we've had some incidences where they have shown up immediately, and the gymnastics center is a perfect example recently where it flooded, and Newton was there with staff, and immediately by the end of the day we had a plan and the building was being renovated, and I think we even got it finished way before the time we thought we would get it finished. So I feel like it is my responsibility to try and let you know about day-to-day stuff to the best of my ability, and sometimes I have failed in that. And I believe when y'all were mentioning some questions last week on Thursday, I then had to follow up with you to let you know that our current company was doing things as we have worked together as a board, things that you'd like to see done. I've immediately called and they've put things into place. So I just want to make sure that I explain that again, that it has been wonderful to work with. J. Smith Lanier, Marsha Mclennan. It's going to take a hard time to change names sometimes. We all know that we still call Carroll Tech at times. So that said, I appreciate both y'all's comments, and I will be willing to work with whoever you choose, but I strongly would like to work with the local company. So, any other questions, comments, discussion? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to accept Marsha Mclennan as our broker.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second. Second.
Okay. Great. Thank you, George. Glad you're still here with us. So I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion?
I want to say this too, and I think the presentations were great. And again, I do appreciate the process, because some of us have full-time jobs, and some of us get to play with the grapes. Right? It's a job too.
Yeah, you come on out and play.
But it takes a lot of stress off for us, because it's only 7 of us, and this is big, this is huge for us to try to research properly. So I want to thank staff, the committees and staff for that are on the committees for doing this for us and doing the research. And again, I've always said that this particular board, can't speak for other boards, I've only been on this one, we don't let too many things get past us. Somebody on this board is going to question something, and it's going to raise questions all the way around the board before the end of the day. Every topic hits everybody different, but it's going to hit somebody. And we are going to question it, and we are going to look for ways to change to make things better for this county. And as Clint said, we truly do look out for our citizens in this county at the end of the day. And our citizens can rest assured every night that you got a board of commissioners that are looking out for you, wanting to make the best decision for this county. But as you said, Chairman Morgan, I do enjoy working with locals when I can. It's not always the case. There are times we have to go outside because we can't find what we need here locally, but when we can, I've had the opportunity to work with Newton personally. He's very responsive. His team is very responsive. So I know they did not give us a specific ratio, but I can't say that in specific instances. You would think they were working for you only because when you call them, they're coming and they're there.
Well, I'd like to congratulate the evaluation committee because you brought us 2 stellar companies. And y'all know I'm an old coach. Well, last night about 11:30, we went into extra innings with me trying to figure out where to go with this because they were so evenly matched in 2 stellar companies. So, thanks, guys.
Well, hearing and seeing no other further discussion, we have a motion to accept Marsha Mclennan. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed?
The vote is 4-2 in favor.
Okay, great. Thank you. Again, Theron, thank you. And I know you have a long ride back home, so thank you.
Thank you. Good to work with you guys, and quality have a very, very close.
Thank you too, Theron. Appreciate you.
We're now going to move into 11.2, Fire Rescue Equipment Purchase. I'm going to call on Fire Chief Chuck Barnwell.
Good evening, Madam Chair, Commissioners. So after I started about a month ago, I was looking through our plans and saw that we have a SPLOST that's coming up next year to start and that we have a 5-year plan. And in that, I saw that we were purchasing one engine per year for the next 6 years. Reached out to our vendor, Williams Fire, and they said that they were going to have a price increase after the first of the year. I do know that we have 3 engines that are in need of replacement now, and those are engine 14, 4, and 12. They all have over 150,000 miles on each of them, and we can push those into reserve with the replacements. So actually we would do a rotation like our vehicle rotation. So the increase from Sutphen Corporation would be 11% after the first of the year. If we were able to purchase the 3 vehicles, the 3 Sutphens, at a purchase price of $574,681.93 each. The price would increase after the first of the year to $637,896.95, an increase of $63,215.02 for each vehicle. Bringing that total for the 3 vehicles to $189,645.06 in savings if we were to go ahead and get the purchase done before January the 2nd. Any questions?
Chief Barnwell, thank you for taking the time to meet with me earlier today when I stopped into your office to review this. Looking at the warranty, I just want to make sure that I have this correct. I know it comes with obviously the standard warranty, and you called the rep and we kind of looked at some of the history, and it appears that, the trucks have held up well. In addition to that, a lot of times if something's on the teeter-tot, maybe being right out of warranty, they've stepped up to the plate and handled this. So the reality is I don't think there's really a market to need to look for an extended warranty. Would you say that's a fair statement?
That's very fair, yes. Williams Fire really does take care of us and have for over 20 years.
Another concern that I had, and this is a little bit different, than us buying private vehicles. But sometimes you go to the lot and say, well, I can save $5,000 on a 21 model, but the 22 model is going to have a double the size navigation screen and bigger brakes and a better engine, right? So sometimes you can save the monetary value, but maybe the next year model you're getting a better product. The reason I brought up this because of us going ahead and ordering several in a row, but sounds like through conversations, while they do upgrade the vehicles over time, there's not necessarily this massive, huge improvement from one year to the next.
No, we still have the same drivetrains, different engines comes in Detroit, still have the same pump, Hale pump, and Suffolk still stands behind their bodies and their trucks.
And it's my understanding this also does not have to be paid for up front. This simply locks in the rate, correct?
Yes, it locks in the price for the 3 engines that need to be replaced. Now, granted, it's a 22 to 24 month delivery cycle, so it would be paid for once the trucks are delivered.
Okay. And I have also spoken with Ms. Cersei and doubled back and obviously looked at the financials. The county continues to do well with SPLOST. Obviously committing these funds up front, we have to be cognizant of that moving forward, that we've technically already spent those funds, but everything looks good financially as well. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Any further questions or discussion for Chief?
So just to be clear, we could end up paying for some of these as long as 2 years in the future. If we go with all 6, as you say, the 22 to 24 months.
So the 6 that we talked about, that was a misinterpretation of the conversation I had with the dealer.
Okay.
If we bought 6 now, that's when the price would lock in. But they won't deliver. They will have to start construction on all 6. So all 6 would have to be delivered at the same time, and then we would pay for all 6. With that staggered delivery date that we had spoken about, it's not possible because they have to start construction on them now with the price that they have. We can't wait a year or 2 years like we talked about to try to get them coming down the road.
Okay.
So that was when we talked, and he clarified that today for me when I followed up with him again.
Okay. So to be clear, your ultimate would be to go with 6 or with 3?
6 ultimately.
Yeah.
But 3 now that need to be replaced.
Yeah.
Because they are quite aged.
Yeah. Okay. What do we do then? What happens to the ones that we're replacing? And do we get any monetary back?
Yeah. So right now, the 3 that we would move down, engines 3, it's a 2017 model with 78,000 miles. Engine 7's 27 with 56,000. Engine 6 is a 2017 model with 40,000. We would move those 3 down to engine 14, 4, and 12, which 14 is a 97 model with 182,000 miles on it. 4 is a 98 model with 164,000 miles, and engine 12 is a 2004 with 76,000 miles, excuse me. So we'd move those down and push them down that way we can get the more life out of the 2017 models. The 97 model would go to reserve. The 98 model with 164 would go to engine 18 because that reserve has 204,000 miles on it, which would be put into a backup reserve or parts truck. And then the engine 12 would be moved down to engine 17, and engine 17 has 202,000 square miles, or excuse me, miles.
Yeah.
That's a big truck.
Yeah. So, and then the monetary value we'd get out of them when we're spare trucks and parts, we're able to pull parts off of them to fix trucks. We don't have to go buy parts because they're all the same, and they have been for quite some time.
Yeah. Okay.
Seeing and hearing no further questions, I'll take a motion, please.
Make a motion that we approve the 3 fire pumper trucks that were presented by the fire chief.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion or questions? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Approved 6-0.
Thank you.
Could I ask the chief something, this little, it's still fire trucks, but not related to this. Do you anticipate us having to buy a larger ladder truck anywhere in the near future?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, we're now going to move into the business session. We have 12.1, a request for annexation into the city of Carrollton. I'm going to call on Ben Skipper, our Community Development Director.
Yes, Chairman.
Okay, we discussed this on Thursday. If you have any further questions for staff at this time? Okay, seeing and hearing none, I ask for a motion.
I'll make a motion to object using the motion recommended in the staff report.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
I think, George, were you the second? Okay, just want to make sure I heard him say something over there. Okay, so I have a motion and a second to object to the motion for annexation of the city of Carrollton recommended in the staff report that was discussed on Thursday. Are there any further questions for staff or any discussion?
Well, Madam Chairman, this is what I have received today in a matter of about 2 hours in correspondence regarding this. And I passed by there this morning on the way to another meeting, and the traffic on Old Union Road from the light now, without any additions, was backed up to the entrance into the golf course there. So Old Union Road's just about at capacity.
Okay. So I have a motion and a second. All those in favor of the objection, because it's a little different for us. All those in favor of the objection to the annexation of the city of Carrollton? Any opposed?
Approve the objection at 6-0.
Great, thank you. So for those that spoke earlier, we approved an annexation that we will have up tomorrow on our website because it's a very, very long resolution. So I knew from sitting here this long, you would not like us to continue on with reading some of the stuff. So we'll now move into 12.1. It's ACCG, the Association of County Commissioners of Georgia, has asked us to do an annexation dispute resolution law. This was presented on Thursday by myself, and I'm going to make a motion that we accept the annexation dispute resolution law by our association.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Is there any further questions or discussion for myself? All right, seeing and hearing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Great.
Approve 6-0.
Great, thank you. 12.3, a resolution for horizontal apartments, which is a consideration to approve a resolution enacting a moratorium for 90 days on the acceptance of applications and the issuance of land disturbance and other permits for development of any single-family residential rental subdivision, also known as horizontal apartments, to repeal a conflicting resolution. And I'm calling Ben Skipper, our Community Development Director, and our attorney, Avery Jackson, to the podium, please.
Sure, Chairman and Commissioners, we got a new buzzword in community development called horizontal apartments. So let me explain to you what that is in briefly. What it is where developers have that are trying to build in communities that have stricter multifamily codes than what's allowable. So what they're proposing is that they're building single-family residential neighborhoods under one ownership. So they may build a 100-lot single-family residential neighborhood that we're all used to seeing, except one owner owns all 100 lots as a single owner and rents all 100 houses out as a 100-unit apartment complex. This is a new trend in America. It's not new to Carroll County. You're seeing a lot of it in California, Texas, Florida. And in Georgia, there are several metro counties that have imposed moratoriums also. And I believe that the biggest reason is Board of Commissioners and adjoining property owners want to have a say in their neighborhood development. Currently, the county has a multifamily residential zoning category that I believe, and currently, let me also state, there's none to my knowledge that are proposing. So we haven't, Janet's here, and and she should jump up if we've had anybody apply for one, but I don't think that we have. And because we haven't, that's kind of why we want to draw the lines now. If that's what you want to do, then you need to proceed with a multifamily residential application. Come before the Board of Commissioners. That gives the public and the Board of Commissioners an opportunity to have a voice in that decision. So that's really all we're looking for is that clarity. And I can see Avery's here is wanting to, attorneys want to talk, so let me give him a chance here.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Commissioners. This came up because I believe Commissioner Fuller first heard about this when he was at the ACCG training, and he walked out of his class and called me immediately and said, "What is this horizontal apartments? What is going on?" And I said, "I don't know. Let's research it and look at it." And community development staff researched it, looked at it, and like Mr. Skipper said, that these apartment complexes, because that's what they are coming and developing as single-family residential subdivisions in many of the counties and cities in Georgia. And community development found a couple of cities and counties that have already enacted moratoriums to start developing and making sure their zoning ordinances are clarified enough to cover these types of developments that before now have not been really known in Georgia. Clayton County and City of Stockbridge, City of Woodstock, they're some of the communities that enacted moratoriums earlier this year so that they could clarify their zoning ordinances on this subject. We're doing or proposing to y'all a similar moratorium in this case that again is just going to be a 90-day moratorium on these single-family residential detached apartment complexes owned by a single owner. So that community development and staff can go look at our current ordinances, the current multifamily residential zoning district, how the apartments are defined under that district, and just make sure our definitions cover this type of development so that we can ensure that if somebody comes and proposes this type of development in Carroll County, that they'll have to go through the appropriate process for that type of development. So if there's any questions about the resolutions that you have before you, just let me or Mr. Skipper know.
I'm seeing and hearing no questions. I will entertain a motion.
I make a motion
Make a motion to approve the moratorium.
to approve the moratorium.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further questions or discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed?
6-0 approved.
Okay, great. Okay, we will now move into executive session to discuss litigation and real estate. I do plan for us to take action when we return from executive session. However, those of you, you're welcome to stay. I don't know how long we'll be, or when we do get back, it will be recorded so you can watch it again tomorrow to see what we've done. So, oh, excuse me, I need a motion, and that's right, what was my next thing?
I make
need
a motion,
second.
a motion to move out of regular session and move into executive session.
All right.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Any opposed? Okay, we will now move downstairs to the conference room, please. Motion and a second to return to open session.
Motion?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Any opposed? Okay, great. 6-0, okay. I'm now going to call the county attorney to discuss a resolution agreeing to an MOU between the state of Georgia and the local governments regarding the J&J opioid settlement.
Madam Chair and Commissioners, Carroll County, along with many other local governments in Georgia and across the nation, along with many states like the state of Georgia and the Attorney General of Georgia, have been involved in a lawsuit against opioid distributors and manufacturers. And there's a proposed settlement in that lawsuit that is being recommended by the Governor of Georgia, the Attorney General of Georgia, and all the attorneys that are representing the local governments in the states in that lawsuit. And we have before you a proposed resolution that would allow the chairman to act as the county's representative and sign the necessary MOU with the state and the local governments and sign the necessary settlement document to obtain or participate in that settlement between all those parties. The actual distribution of any funds from that settlement are based on formulas that are based on the damages in the particular areas, and then splits between local governments and the state. And then there are certain directives on how those funds would have to be used to abate future opioid issues. So we would ask that you make a motion to approve that resolution so that the county can participate in that settlement.
Do I have a motion and a second to approve this resolution?
Motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Are there any further questions or discussion? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor of approving the resolution?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Approved 6-0.
Do I have a motion and a second to adjourn the meeting?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay. I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor?